Welcome back to Living Local. Addiction is a complex brain condition where a person is compulsively dependent upon a substance or an activity despite harmful consequences. Unity House offers a place where men recovering from addiction can live together and grow in their sobriety. Joining us in studio to tell us more about this today, we have Dennis Hout, Kelly O'Brien, and Paula Hahn with Unity House of Davenport. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So first of all, how did Unity House come to be?
I was about 1 year sober, and I had a chance to deploy to Iraq. And while in Iraq, I was putting armor on Humvees to protect our soldiers. And I saw firsthand how bad it was for the people in that country, the Iraqis, living in mud huts, and yet they were happy. They were smiling. They thought they had the world. And I thought back, what do we have here in the United States? Why aren't we more grateful? I've got to do something. I've got to bring something back and do something to help other people see how much we have. And I had been working on an old crack house, turning it into a regular house. And I said, this house is going to be a transitional house for people in recovery. And that is how our first house started.
What a powerful story, and I think that's one of the thing people enjoy about traveling to different cultures is that it makes you see the world in a totally different light.
Yes.
And I'm sure that it sounds like that was your experience.
Yes.
Wow. So who exactly do you help with Unity House?
We help men in recovery from substance and behavioral addictions. They do have to be sober when they come in, 18 years old and older. And people that just basically need that extra, I guess,
Support
system.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So helping men and 18 years or older, and they do have to be sober before they come to the house. Now, you mentioned substance addiction and behavioral addiction. What is the difference between those two?
Well, substance is going to be like your prescription drugs. Basic alcohol and illicit drugs as well. And then your behavioral is going to be more like gambling, sex addictions, eating disorders, even, you know, like technology addictions as well.
Right, there's so many different behavioral addictions out there as well as the substance addictions. What do statistics tell us about substance addiction?
Well, right now, alcoholism is one of the biggest health crises in the United States. 19.1 million people in 2017, 12 years and older, battle substance abuse. 74% of adults suffering from substance abuse also use alcohol. 1 out of 8 adults struggle with drugs and alcohol abuse, and 6 people a day die from alcohol poisoning. 74% of those, or 76% of those are men.
Wow. You know, when you hear those statistics, it can be just so shocking. What do you guys think are some barriers for people to get sober? Let's say they know, they realize it, maybe loved ones have told them, you know, this is an issue, they are seeing the consequences, but they're just not able to get there. What are those barriers? What's stopping them?
Some of the barriers that the alcoholic wanting to get into recovery faces is the negative stigma that alcoholism has. When people hear the word alcoholic, they picture that person laying in the gutter with that empty whiskey bottle, or an addict, used needles around. So that's not something they want to be around, of course. They don't realize it could be anybody and all walks of life. So making that jump into sobriety and not caring about what people think, but focusing on what do we need, swallowing our pride, if you want to look at it that way. But getting that first step is the biggest one, saying, I can't do this, I need help.
Right.
And there it starts.
Yeah, I think breaking down the stigma is one of the best ways that you can break down the barriers to getting sober. We're hearing a lot about breaking stigmas when it comes to mental health and just to not have shame around needing to get help. And clearly there is help available. It's not the lack of access. It's just, like you said, kind of overcoming that pride and what are people going to think, what are people going to say, and knowing that this is going to be the best choice in the long term. So tell us, how does Unity House help men grow in their sobriety?
Unity House provides a safe, sober, semi-structured environment for men to come and work their program. We get people from, as I'd said, all walks of life that come here, and they learn to live with other people in recovery, a community living, so to speak, but yet in homes. Some of these people will be their first home in a long time. Some of these people still, it'll be a home away from home. And others still, the first home they've ever had.
Right, right. Now, what are some success stories that have come out of Unity House?
I was in a local drugstore, a big name, just a couple weeks ago. And I was looking around, I can't remember what I was purchasing, but somebody came up behind me and tapped me on the shoulder. And I turned around and I instantly recognized this person. He had been through Unity House, it was over 10 years ago. He had a big smile on his face. He was wearing a white shirt and a tie, and I could see by his nameplate that he was the manager in the store. He had to show me a picture of his wife and his children. He told me he got married. He says, "Thank you so much." And of course, Unity House, not me. I take no credit. And that was just one, and there are many like that.
Wow. Thank you for sharing. It's hard not to get emotional and get like chills when you hear something about that, because someone's coming in and clearly Unity House helped to get him sober, and think about the lives that has affected. It wasn't just his, it's his wife and his kids now. It's just an incredible thing. Oh my gosh, it's like overwhelming. I can't imagine you, and clearly you have so many more stories like that. So why do you think Unity House is so important for our community as a whole? Clearly it helps the people and their loved ones that are served through it, but as a community, why do you think it's so important to have a local resource that helps people get sober?
I believe that it is important for the community to have places like Unity House, because if a person comes out of recovery and is back into mainstream society instantly, it's just a little bit too much, too fast, too quick. Easing back into mainstream society, and we provide that bridge, if you will, that goes from prisons, detox centers, hospitals, any of these places, and they are able to do it a step at a time, at their own pace, at their own speed, getting used to living with other people in recovery, in unity, and then when they're ready and they have a plan, easing back into society. One of the things about Unity House is we don't keep them in Unity House where they have to sign out. They're allowed a certain amount of trust, just enough, so that they can start to feel like they are a part of society again.
Wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much for being here, for all the information and what you're doing to help people in our community. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
All right, for more information, you can visit unityhouseofdavenport.org. We'll also have those details posted on ourquadcities.com.